this is Sia and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another video inside of Hermitcraft season Clockwork. We are on our way to story number 6, which is a perspective by Impulse. Although this is a fanfiction and not canon to the actual thing, but I mean, yeah. This whole Clockwork Chronicles stuff is not canon, not necessarily canon to the main universe, like Season 8 or Lovely World proper. It's like an alternate universe, an alternate spin, where these men exist. And I work a little bit differently. And yeah. I've been working on some things to try to slowly build more story and more world stuff. Like, this is more like a story building, world building sort of story, kind of, in a small way. You'll see. Not in this episode probably, but it'll make more sense, especially since apparently phones are canon inside Lovely World, so so we gotta explain that, because obviously now they're... I think we should just get ready to do it, right? I'm just rambling now. This is about Hermitcraft, not Lovely World, you know. We've already gone past that story. Let's move on to the next one. Episode 22, Chapter 1. There was a chill in the air as Impulse walked down the paved path to meet up with the group that was ahead. He was walking alongside Green with Xavier somewhere behind them, keeping an eye on things just in case something went wrong. Not that anything would go wrong, but it was always better to be safe than sorry. At least, that's what the cause thought anyway, and he couldn't really argue with that because it was a valid point. Regardless if a cause member was around, it's better not to go alone and have somebody with you, just to make sure that if there was an attack, you could at least have a chance to get away. Still, he had high hopes that this reunion would go as planned, or as good as it would get when there was hermits involved. Many of the hermits were waiting back at the meeting hall for the arrivals to come. Impulse and Green had collectively decided to meet the group halfway so they could do the final catch-ups there. Seeing as many details had been kept out during the communications with the communicator, like the fact that they were due to come home today. Well, Jem and Scar were coming home, with Matthias and Devin were returning as well as their escorts. It had been a long 2 months since he'd last seen them. He'd heard from them multiple times, but he truly did miss having them around. It's pretty quiet out here, isn't it? Green admitted, breaking the silence. It's nice, I suppose you could say. The YouTuber agreed with a nod. Green nodded his head slowly, glancing around the area as they walked. Impulse couldn't really blame him as he looked straight ahead, seeing something a little ways ahead of them. I think that's them. The two YouTubers quickened their pace as they neared the figures, sure enough seeing the 4 arrivals heading their way. Their fast walk turned into a run as they caught up to them. Impulse feeling a tiny bit guilty for Xavier, who probably was trying his hardest to keep up with them. Scar, Jem, welcome back, Green said excitedly, giving them both a quick hug each before stepping back with a small smile. Well, how have you been? We've been doing all right, Jem said happily, as she glanced slightly over at Matthias as the man nodded. We had a tiny hiccup when we made it through, but everything should be fine. Nothing too major, Scar assured them with a chuckle when seeing their concerned expressions. It's just the portal doing its thing. Really? Interesting, Impulse nodded. Is that normal after something like what you've been through? I guess, the YouTuber shrugged. I don't know, but I'm fine. Tell me though, where can I be honored to be at this party I've been promised? Impulse and Green both looked at each other, knowingly as Impulse nodded his head. Green went over to Scar and grabbed his arm. Yeah, everyone's waiting for you. I'll show you. Scar chuckled as he followed Grian back the way they'd come. As they passed Xavier, who hesitated. Go with them, Xavier. I'll be okay here. Impulse told him. The man nodded as he left with them, without a word, as the YouTuber looked back over at the rest of the group. So what is this about the portal thing? It's complicated. Jim smiled sheepishly. I was told to keep an eye on Scar to make sure he was okay, since the portal has a tendency to take something from the person who goes through. Same as an Enderpearl. It's just not as noticeable or important when you're in good health. So as long as he doesn't get into trouble, we should be fine. Impulse asked with a frown. Yeah, Jim nodded, glancing over at Matthias, as if to make sure. There's been many stories about things happening to people after going through a traumatic experience and going through a portal, Matthias confirmed. There is some sort of time frame where it's crucial, but it's hard to know for sure since no one seems to agree on it. I'm sure we should be fine though, right? It's just a party. We can just make sure he doesn't overdo it, Impulse suggested. Jem shrugged and smiled. I was just told to be cautious. You never know. Who told you this? Impulse questioned as they began to walk back to the meeting hall. One of my new friends back from where we were just from, she replied. He's had personal experience about a similar situation. Ah, all right, Impulse replied as they continued walking. The woods around them were very still and quiet as the four of them went along. You really did great, though, helping him out like that. That's what friends do, she shrugged. Sure, you would have done the exact same thing if you were in my shoes. Yep. The YouTuber smiled before looking straight again. Would you think the men are testing us and pushing us in some way to see how far we'd go to help each other? Certainly abused it before, Matthias muttered loudly. I would not be surprised if they did it so here, honestly. You all go back a long way. That's true. The YouTuber replied with a nod. Still, you're telling me you met the other brother, RJ? Yeah, Jim nodded solemnly. Impulse could just about see the hole ahead. He certainly likes experimenting new ways to torment people. What about Mr. A? Impulse asked. She shrugged. That's something to talk to the others about. I've never met him, nor do I want to. Oh, I almost did, Impulse admitted sheepishly. Luckily for me and a lot of us, we were rescued by the cause thanks to Grian and the others for letting them know what was going on. That's not fun, she said. We survived. That's what matters, Impulse said confidently. And we'll keep doing it as a team, no matter what. She nodded her head with a smile as they neared the front entrance of the hall, the four of them walking into the chatter, laughter, and the smell of various foods. I don't know why I spelled that wrong. And so much more. It was all coming together. It didn't take him long to see Grian showing Scar around the redecorated place, with colorful balloons, streamers, and banners along the walls. There were even a few paintings hanging from a few of the legends in the room. It was spectacular. He began to walk over towards Scar and Grian when he suddenly noticed something near the farthest ledge. A colorful curtain fluttered in the wind of an opened window. He hadn't remembered seeing it opened when he'd left. Maybe someone had opened it while he was going to get the others for some fresh air. Wouldn't be too much of a stretch. He was just about to look away when he saw a dark figure near a corner of the ledge. He hadn't spotted a moment before. In fact, he almost missed him entirely. The shadowed figure snuck closer to the edge of the ledge. His Impulse frowned, followed the figure's gaze towards Grian and Scar. Something didn't feel right about this. He looked back up just as he made eye contact with the figure, as he saw dark eyes through what appeared to be a dark mask that almost looked navy in the sunlight, coming from the window. His mouth was not visible. The only part were his hands, as he took out something. Appeared to be a splash potion of some kind. The man inched further, as he looked away from the YouTuber, as he lifted his hand as if to throw it. Impulse quickly looked away from the man, as he called out a warning to his friends. Getting Scar's attention just in time to push Grian out of the way, he heard a glass shattering as Scar collapsed to the ground. Scar, no! Grian shouted in alarm as the entire room grew immediately quiet as Impulse glanced back up at the ledge. See, the man had disappeared before running towards them. seeing Green going down to Scar's level, trying to shake him awake as he writhed in pain. "Let me," Impulse offered as Green looked up when he heard him coming. Green nodded slowly as he slid back a little bit as Impulse knelt down, putting down a shulker box he had. Putting down the shulker box he had available as he pulled out a bucket of milk, asking Green to hold him steady before gently lifting the man's head and letting the liquid go down. Moments passed before Scar finally grew limp. His Impulse stored away the bucket, pulling out a potion of healing. "Maybe regeneration might help better?" Jem asked, having somehow joined the group as she knelt beside Green. "I would, but there's none in here," Impulse admitted. "That's well to do for now." She said nothing as he gave the YouTuber the potion, hearing a heavy sigh as he scooted back, seeing Pearl coming up next to him. "I think you did it." "I did something," Impulse agreed as he looked over at her. "Did anyone see what potion that was? I was too far away to notice." "Harming," Green said quietly. "It's a potion of instant harming." "You okay?" Impulse asked him as he looked down at the sleeping YouTuber. "I'll be okay," Green sighed. "I just can't figure out what just happened." "A lot of things, Green. A lot of factors," Jim said gently. "Is there anything that can be done?" "I think we need to get a medical professional on board," Pearl admitted as she shook her head sadly. "And get him to a comfortable place that isn't the floor." "I think I can arrange something," Impulse replied. Obviously, whoever did this was specifically targeting either him or Green. "Did you see who it was?" Green asked quickly. Impulse felt a hand on his shoulder and looked up to see Matthias looking up. It'd be safer to keep it out of the public. We'll talk later." Impulse nodded. "Yes, sir." "In the meantime, you can handle it from here for now?" Matthias asked. "Yeah," Jim replied. "I think so." The man nodded. "Call me if you need me. Or any of us." "Will do," Pearl said confidently as the man walked away. Impulse could see people coming closer to have a look as he stood. "We can handle it from here. It's probably better if he keeps the space. Someone can organize something later for visiting whenever Scar wakes up," Impulse said loudly. "Will he wake up?" Green asked worriedly. "Eventually, yes," Jem assured him, wrapping an arm around him comfortingly. "Give him time to recover." The YouTuber nodded as he looked over at Impulse. "Why? Why does it have to be having the Scar? Why now?" "I don't know," Impulse admitted. "Hopefully we find out who did this and put them to justice. In the meantime, we can do what we can." "So we're going to your place?" Pearl asked as she stood. "No one else rejects, and I guess so," Impulse sighed. "We can make a call there too, so it makes it easier for the person to find us." The others nodded as the hermits dispersed, along with their escorts to their own things. Silence in the hall was almost deafening as Impulse tried to wrap his mind around what just happened. He doubted it would be the last they'd see of the mysterious man. Whatever his goal was, it couldn't be good. Unfortunately, that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, this is chapter 1 of I don't know how many. I mean, I know how many, but I'm not going to tell you how many. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave any thoughts, questions, and your theories down in the comments. Yes, this has happened before to somebody, and yes, I know for sure it's in the book. It's in the first book, near the end of the Clockwork Plan. So, yeah. If you do want to take a look at that, you can. But, yeah. This is just another echo of continuity. Like, everybody has different effects because, well, for Scar, it was different than it was for somebody like Stampy, who had dealt with something else that was pretty bad. So, yeah. It was a different effect, different everything. Like, it wasn't as big or scary at that point. Like, it's still scary though. Scary. Like, if you've gone through a lot and then you go through a portal and somebody attacks you with a potion, yeah, that's not gonna be fun. Yeah. It's an instant way to cause chaos. Sad to say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, whenever that might be. Goodbye.